Well, of course he's got favorites, and his favorite is not Russia. His favorite is Vladimir Putin, whom he thinks is his friend.
That's former National Security Advisor John Bolton, exposing Trump's soft spot not for Russia, but for Putin personally. And if you thought that was brutal, wait until you hear what else Bolton and Congress say Trump is really doing behind the scenes of the Ukraine war. What they describe isn't diplomacy, it's appeasement, and it could hand Putin everything he wants. Trump says he just wants the war in Ukraine to end, but critics, including his own former staff, say he's laying down for Putin and preparing to throw Ukraine under the bus. Smash subscribe and stay tuned. This might be the most shocking foreign policy betrayal you've heard all year. It started with Trump's stunningly blunt take on a possible Ukraine ceasefire. Asked if he cared whether Ukraine had to surrender Crimea, his response.
In 2014, quote, "I don't care."
Look, I just want to see the war end.
He claimed to have no favorites, but then he ripped into Zelensky.
More difficult to deal with than President Putin.
I think we have a deal with Russia. We have to get a deal with Zelensky, and I hope that Zelensky, I thought it might be easier to deal with Zelensky so far.
Yes, Putin, the man who illegally annexed Crimea, launched a full-scale invasion, and regularly targets civilians, is, according to Trump, easier to negotiate with than the democratically elected president of Ukraine. Trump's allies say he's just being pragmatic. They say he's focused on ending the war, cutting deals, lowering oil prices. He even tied peace efforts to crude markets.
U.S. Marine in Afghanistan. Congressman, thanks for joining us. So take a listen to President Trump moments ago talking more about why he wants this war to end as soon as possible.
When we have it down to $65 a barrel, it went up to almost $100 a barrel. And at that number, Putin and Russia made a lot of money. So I think one of the reasons, look, I think he has a certain respect for me, but one of the big reasons is oil prices are down. I think this is a good time to get the war settled.
But this deal-maker approach ignores a brutal reality. Putin doesn't want peace. He wants victory, and handing him Ukraine's land in exchange for quiet isn't a deal. It's a capitulation, and according to Bolton, Trump's already rolling over.
That Ukraine will never become a member of NATO, which is a rejection of the U.S. position since 2008.
So what is this really about? Bolton doesn't mince words.
His favorite is not Russia. His favorite is Vladimir Putin, whom he thinks is his friend.
Let's talk impact. Bolton says Trump's proposals would leave Ukraine in the dust and signal to Russia, China, and every rogue state that aggression works.
Critical mistake for the United States. This will be one of the biggest reversals of policy in history. It will have
He outlines what's at stake: abandoning NATO commitments, allowing Russia to keep 20% of Ukraine, sending a green light to China on Taiwan, and all because, as Bolton puts it,
well, in part because he doesn't understand what this war is all about. He has said so.
Congressman Jake Klaus, a Marine veteran, takes it further.
Not have respect for Donald Trump because Donald Trump negotiates with Russia out of a posture of appeasement, and Putin only.
Klaus lays out what real negotiation would look like.
We are going to let it use the 300 billion euros in Russian frozen assets to field and equip a 1 million-man army. We are going to guarantee it freedom of navigation in the Black Sea, and it is going to enter the European Union so that it can have an EU rapid response force for security guarantees. That is how you negotiate with Russia, from strength, by declaring Ukraine's security and then seeing what Russia is willing to offer. You do not start.
That's the difference between defending democracy and selling it off. John Bolton doesn't hold back. He says Trump's strategy, if you can even call it that, is a roadmap for surrender, not just for Ukraine, but for American leadership worldwide.
Critical mistake for the United States. This will be one of the biggest reversals of policy in history. It will have ramifications for American national security.
And what Trump's suggesting, freezing the conflict where it stands, letting Russia keep seized land, isn't peace. It's a pause. Bolton explains.
For Ukraine, these are the Russian positions that then give them the basis, after they regroup and rebuild their army, for the third invasion of Ukraine, to finish what
the most chilling part,
for People's Republic of China to go after Taiwan, to continue to go after the South China Sea, for Russia to take aggression action elsewhere in the territory of the former Soviet Union, and in fact a license for rogue states around the world. It's not necessary.
And what does Trump say about that?
Crimea in 2014, quote, "I don't care."
Look, I just want to see the war end. I don't care.
That's not foreign policy. That's running from responsibility. It gets worse. Vice President J.D. Vance, now carrying water for Trump, tells the world that the U.S. is ready to walk away from Ukraine. His logic:
the United States to walk away from this process. And the only way to really stop the killing is for the armies to both put down their weapons, to freeze this thing, and to get on with the business of actually building.
To which Bolton replies,
I think they leave Ukraine in the dust. When Vance says we're giving Russia and Ukraine terms that they should agree to, he's saying Ukraine should surrender 20% of its territory in response to 2 acts of unprovoked aggression over the last 10 years.
He warns this isn't just an abandonment of an ally. It's a signal to authoritarian regimes everywhere.
Is Vance's view, this is a significant American retreat from responsibility for its own national security globally.
On one other thing,
Congressman Jake Klaus agrees.
Putin does not have respect for Donald Trump because Donald Trump negotiates with Russia out of a posture of appeasement, and Putin only respects.
And while Trump and Vance talk about freezing lines and walking away, Klaus lays out what real strength looks like.
We are going to let it use the 300 billion euros in Russian frozen assets to field and equip a 1 million-man army. We are going to guarantee it freedom of navigation in the Black Sea. And it is going to enter the European Union so that it can have an EU.
That's how you stop a war, not by cutting deals with the invader.
Security guarantees. That is how you negotiate with Russia, from strength, by declaring Ukraine's security and then seeing
If this policy moves forward, America won't just lose influence. It'll lose its credibility as a defender of democracy forever. So the question is simple: do we stand with freedom or do we sell it off for political convenience? Subscribe now for real breakdowns of global power moves, national security battles, and the moments that history will never forget. This war isn't over, and neither is the fight for what America stands for.